Hello and welcome to the ThePapare.com update and roundup of what we saw in the long-awaited second round of the schools section. This is where the schools of the top four from each group cross over and play each other, and that means we're guaranteed some hot and heavy action right throughout the upcoming 4 weeks. So that's going to be something really to look forward to if this week's action was anything to go by. Unfortunately, missing my partner in crime, Sabir. Hopefully he will be back next week, but we'll take you to the game, through the games that were in the top division this weekend. The first one, Pathana versus St. Thomas's, and we talked about this earlier and said that Pathana were overwhelming favourites to win this match, and that's exactly what they did. What was interesting was that St. Thomas's, once again, like they did against Royal, they started well, managed to go into the opposition 22. They showed they had a bit of fight about them, but that was only in the first 5 or 6 minutes, and after that things just went to pot for them. Once again, they managed to put over an early penalty, but that was pretty much all they managed to do to make a dent in the Pathana defenses. So Pathana counter-attacking really well, once again showing how brilliant they are from open field, and despite the fact that Omalka Gunaratne didn't score any tries in this game, probably the first game in the season that he hasn't scored any tries, St. Thomas's will probably be happy for the fact that they were able to mark him out of scoring tries in this game, but that didn't stop them at all. 62 points to 15. They ran in 10 tries, and Pathana fans will be happy to note that they're also been able to put over a few conversions, and that's something that was missing for them a few matches ago, and that's something that they have worked on tremendously over the last couple of weeks, and it's paying dividends for them. So that's something that Pathana will take heart from going into the next big matches that they have to come up with in the next couple of weeks. Outstanding player of the game, I thought, Nisal Desaka, playing at hooker, moves to flanker, throws in the line out. Lots of work for him, but his open play has been really excellent this season. Had a superb game against St. Joseph's as well, and now comes up with another big one against St. Thomas's. Once again, though, one little cause for concern. Punchiheva is their left winger, and he has got a few yellow cards this season for tackling a player while in there. He gets there on time. He needs to time it just a little bit better, and Coach Ibrahim needs to have a chat with his wing three-quarter. He's giving away a yellow card. He's giving away a penalty, and unfortunately, just holds back half a second. He's got great field position, and that's something that he needs to work on his game, because those are things you can ill afford when you're coming up against the good sides like Trinity, St. Peter's, St. Joseph's, and Royal, of course, which will be their biggest opponents to come. The next match was St. Peter's versus Trinity, and this one was pretty much a ramba in bamba, as people were talking about, and it was St. Peter's who went into an early deficit, and that was 20 points to nil at the end of 15 minutes, and Trinity probably thought, hey, we've got this game wrapped up. But Kevin Dixon, who Coach Ben McDougall has been quite brave this season, and he hasn't been afraid to shift his players about and to make sure that all his players get a game. He's used the squad depth of St. Peter's really well, and he wasn't afraid to keep Kevin Dixon on the bench for this game, and he brought him on obviously when things were not looking good, and he completely changed the face of the game. And to say that Omalka Gunaratne and Supun Vandakulasuri have been dominant in the forwards, I think Kevin Dixon has shown his hand to be one of the best backs this season, one of the most dominant backs in this entire school season. He's a cut above everybody else when he comes onto the field. The time that he has with the ball, at his hand and at his feet, and the options he takes, a really outstanding play from him. He led the resurrection for St. Peter's, and despite the fact that they went in trailing 20 points to nil early on in that first half, they managed to win that one by 30 points to 25. An outstanding performance from St. Peter's, coming back, and really rearguard action. That was an outstanding performance from them, and they look like they're really happy playing at their home grounds. Remember the comeback they had against Pathana as well. This team is going to be a little difficult to stop early on, and I think they will rue the fact that Kevin Dixon was injured in that first match of the season where they lost to St. Joseph's, and that loss may come back to haunt them in the upcoming couple of games. But if they play like this, there's no saying whether they'll take a bigger scalp than they otherwise would have expected. But St. Peter's, again, the only thing to talk about is that despite going down to 13 men, they didn't concede any points and actually managed to score points, 13 points in that time that they had Nishan and his midfield partner out in the sin bin. That was an outstanding performance from them. Really good discipline from them to come back and score those points. And 30 points to 25, a superb win from a side that looked down and out just 15 minutes into the game. But Trinity will really need to take stock at this point in time. This was a bad defeat because they were leading. They should have been able to close this game off. And this is something Coach Eric Miller is going to have to look at a little bit, because if his team is going to really break under pressure like they did against Royal, like they did here at St. Peter's. That's something that they're going to have to really worry about going forward in the season. But Shanaka Amarasinghe also one of their playmakers not playing in this game, so that may have affected them. But it's a 14 other men on the park who could have done the business, and they didn't turn up for Trinity despite the fact that they went into an early lead. All they had to do was play territorial, close that game down, but somehow ThePapare needs to take a little bit more leadership in those backs and control the game a little bit better. But all credit to St. Peter's for coming back and winning that game brilliantly. Then we had what could be termed probably the upset of the weekend. We're going to have one of these every weekend, I'm sure, because all these 8 teams are so evenly matched. And we had St. Joseph's, who travelled up to Mount Lavinia to play Science College in their own backyard. Now, this has been a really difficult fixture for St. Joseph's. They've lost to Science College for the last 3 years in a row, and this season was no exception. St. Joseph's probably a better side than they were last season, better prepared, have more players of quality than Science College have to talk about. But the guys that came to the party for Science College came to the party with their hats on, and that was Lashindu Ishan, their captain. Karuna Tilaka has been outstanding, and Madhuranga twins together with Dylan Silva on the right wing, the wingers have been really good, and that was something that really shone. And St. Joseph's backline defense once again shown up by Lashindu Ishan as well. He was just very good in the forwards, making sure that he took the right options and set the Madhuranga twins, Madhuranga brothers free rather, and Dylan also free. That meant that the St. Joseph's forward pack needed to fan out across the field, and that really tired them out a little bit. They weren't able to do the attacking business that they did, even though Stefan Gregory did score 3 tries and get his hat-trick, and he's been the try-scoring machine for them over the course of this season, St. Joseph's. But nevertheless, it was something that Tarindu Madhuranga also scoring 2 tries. He's just 16 years old, brother of one of the senior players, Madhuranga, in the Science College squad. And these guys had an outstanding outing this time. And it's something that goes to show that Science College know what their strengths are. They know exactly where to play and how to play to those strengths. And that has been, I think, probably a lesson for all the other big teams as well, to know exactly what your strength is and play to that, and not get embroiled in trying to play the game plan that the other teams are trying to play. So they didn't allow themselves to get sucked into the forward play that St. Joseph's was going to obviously bring and slow the game down. They just kept it fast and furious all the way, and they won that one. A really close game, 29 points to 26. They went out into a lead, and despite St. Joseph's coming back through Stefan Gregory's tries, they weren't able to bridge that gap, and a few missed penalties also they will rue St. Joseph's. So that was a big setback for them in their title march as well. They had lost only the one game before this to Pathana, so they would have been quite confident going into the second round, but this loss will put them at quite a setback. But for Science, on the other hand, is a massive boost for their bid to stay in the top 3, maybe even top 4. Then, of course, we had Royal College taking on Kingswood. I expected this match to be a little bit closer, but Royal College showed that when you are dominant in the forwards, when you have just absolutely the most dominant set of forwards on the pitch that Kingswood could not do anything against, it doesn't matter whether you have the best backs, the best running backs on the park, because it was really unnecessary for Royal even to have a back line on the day because the forwards were so good. Supun Vandakulasuriya scored 4 tries, and now he surpasses Omalka Gunaratne with 12 tries to 11, and Shaukat Lahir also scoring the first try and getting into the game. He's been very defensive in the first part of the season, but now he's showing that he's got some attacking prowess as well. So that's excellent work from the back row boys. Also Piris in that back row. So you've got Supun, Lahir and Piris, who have been really outstanding this season. And Royal, when you look at them, they look like they've got the best unit in the back row. They look like they've got the best unit in the halves as well, with Asok and Gail Jasinger combining. So 8, 9, also 6, 7 and 9 and 10 rather, and 6, 7 and 8, probably the best 2 units in schools at the moment, and that's something that's keeping Royal ahead of everyone else. So it was a really convincing victory, 49 points to 7, and Royal setting the benchmark for this second round as well. Everybody will be looking at that defeat, raising an eyebrow and wondering whether this Royal side is really as good as they have shown us that they are. So 49 points to 7, a superb win for Royal. So looking at the winners, we had Pathana College, who won their game, Science College, who won their game, and St. Peter's came from behind to win theirs. And then, of course, we had Royal College coming through to win. So once again, Royal College remaining unbeaten, Isipatana remaining unbeaten. They're showing that they are the ones to watch out for. And of course, Trinity College with that loss, they will have made themselves a little bit vulnerable. So Science College already played them, but St Joseph's will be having a look at them and thinking that they could have another scalp if they play well against Trinity College. So all building up to the clash of the two unbeaten teams, Isipatana and Royal College. So should be a good one to look forward to, but we have plenty more games coming up before that. We'll give you a preview of that as well. Looking forward to next week's games. We've got Mount Lavinia hosting Isipatana College. Science College has been a very difficult ground for opposition teams to travel to, so let's wait and see whether Isipatana will come undone. I don't think they will, because they've got a lot of strength in their forwards and backs, while Science College are a little limited, but you're coming up with two of the smartest players coming up against each other. Omalka Gunaratna together with Lasindu Ishan, the Science College captain, he's one to really look out for. He goes unmentioned because he plays for one of the quote-unquote weaker teams, but he is one to really look out for. And let's see whether the Madhuranga brothers can come up trumps in this game. Should be a lot closer than people expect it to be. St Thomas's will take on St Joseph's at Havelock Park, and that's for the Lady Jayatilaka Trophy, and that's something that St Joseph's has had their hands on for a couple of years, and St Thomas's will desperately want to win it back. Probably the Thomians' best chance of winning a trophy this season if they manage to do a number on this Josephian side, because the Josephian backs and the Thomian backs are really nothing much to write home about, but their forward packs are the ones that should do most of the talking in this game. But that being said, the Josephian back division, even though it doesn't match up to their forwards, is clearly a lot better than the Thomians are at the moment. So I would think the Josephians will go in as favourites for this game, despite the loss that they had against Science College. Then we have St Peter's, who take on Royal. Royal, of course, have a history of coming unstuck against St Peter's in games that they have been expected to win, and in the late 2000, maybe 2008, 2009, those were teams, I think that 2009 remained unbeaten, but in 2008, maybe even 2010, I can't quite remember the exact years, but more fancied Royal sides have gone and come unstuck against Peter's sides, which were probably not on paper as good as these Royals, the Royal sides that they were playing against. So that's something that will worry Royal historically, but I think St Peter's also, with that comeback win against Trinity College, have showed that they're not a team to be trifled with. They are only coming into their own right now, and Coach Ben McDougall will have a couple of plans, I'm sure, for that Royal forward pack. Something that they will have to make sure they do is defend that massive rolling maul that Royal have, and that's something that's almost been unstoppable this season for the Royalists. So if the Peterites manage to find a way to defend that, then that's something that will hold them in good stead. But let's see whether Kevin Dixon can match his opposite number. Bandu Kagamage has been outstanding in his running lines this season, but Kevin Dixon, with that free-ranging game that he plays from fullback, let's see whether he can come up trumps for his team. So blue, gold and white versus blue and gold. Let's see how that one goes, and that's going to be at Bambalapiti as well. So it should be a home advantage for the St. Peter's College team, who have been playing very well at home. So let's see whether all those factors will add up. Are Royal going to be able to remain unbeaten at the end of this game? Then, of course, we have Trinity College and Kingswood College clashing in Kandy in a battle of the two Kandy schools, and I think that's going to be an interesting encounter. Trinity will definitely need to get a win on the board, despite their two losses on the trot, and that's something that the Trinity administration will not be too happy with at all. So I'm sure that they will want to beat Kingswood, and Kingswood, when it comes to home time rivals, will have sensed blood. They have known that these Trinity are recovering from two heartbreaking losses in the last two seasons, so last 2 weeks rather, and they will think that they have what it takes to do a number on their fancied hometown rivals. So should be some outstanding rugby on offer. Don't forget, we'll give you 3 of those matches live, so keep it tuned to www.thepapare.com, where we share the passion of the Singer Schools League with you.